What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Frickin' Uncultured. My name is Chandler, and as always, I'm joined with Andy. Andy, how are you doing today?
How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going. I'm really excited for today's topic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because if you've been following us for the month of October, Andy and I have decided that every week through the month of October, we're going to do something Halloween themed and Halloween related leading up to the day itself. And so today, we're doing something that I'm just excited for just because it's different. But we're going to be sitting here and telling our personal scary stories by the campfire.
I messed up that transition, but it'll be alright. It'll be fine.
That'll be all right. What do you think, Andy, about the campfire?
Going on. Oh, yeah. No, it's nice. Now, so, I mean, we're in the cold south, so, you know, it's nice to be, I guess, next to, wait, it's over here. Next to the warm campfire, so.
I know, so we're all nice and cozy and warm, so we're ready to tell our personal scary stories. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, though, it would be nice to, you know, actually be out, like in a field, campfire. Like, it's been years since I've gone camping and done stuff like this, so that doesn't sound too bad.
You're not wrong, but also the audio recording for something like that would be a nightmare with, you know, just outside ambiance and stuff like that, so...
I mean, we struggled just doing audio recording inside our homes, so, you know, I think we'd be alright.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. We just need some lapel mics and we call it good.
There we go. So we're talking scary horror stories this time, right? We're gonna personal scary stories. Okay. So when Chandler brought this topic up to me, I don't have a ton of scary horror stories. I think he's got a couple good ones, so he's probably gonna take the reins mostly on this. But I got a couple things I can share. I got some interesting unexplained one, and then I got a really funny one I think I want to share. So yeah, unless you got anything else, man, I can jump into my first story if you want to do that.
Go ahead and take it away, man. I'm nice and cozy by this fire.
All right, so let's see. This was back in, what was it, 2009? When was Borderlands 1? That was 2009, right?
It was 09.
Okay,
yes.
So I was working at GameStop at the time. I was fairly new to the job, but Borderlands came out. And we were doing the midnight launch for it. And I remember we locked up the store. And we were getting everything set up. We had food we were going to give away. We had a TV. We were going to be playing games and stuff like that. And we, at the time, my boss and I were in the back room. We were getting the games all organized, getting them gutted so we could put them on the floor, stuff like that. We were getting everything ready. And while we were doing this, we had all the lights in the store out. So the lights were out. It was dark in there, and we were in the back room. The lights were on. And for some reason, it just started pouring down rain. Like, it just, out of nowhere, it was just like heavy storm. Just like, boom, just landed right on us. And I remember, so the way the store's laid out is where our back door is. You can see straight through the whole store, and you can see the front door, and usually the front door is encompassed by nothing but glass. So you can see outside of the store. And I remember I was gutting games and processing stuff, and I look up at the camera, and I see a guy on the camera, and he's got his hands like around his head, and he's peeking in the glass. And he's looking in the store to see if we were there, if anybody was there, because he was going to, I assume, get his game. And I felt bad because it was just pouring down rain. And I was like, oh, that sucks. There's a guy out there. And I was like, well, I'm going to run out there and let him know we'll open back up at whatever time and we'll be able to get him his game. And I turn to look and go talk to the guy. And when I look out the window, or I look out the door to look out the window, there's nobody there. And I was just like, he was just there. And I look back at the camera and I can still see him on the camera. Like, he's still there looking in the window, peeking and stuff like that, and I can see him moving around, so it wasn't like a still. I see him, and I was just like, what the hell's going on? And I look back out, and I don't see anybody. So I run out the door, maybe thinking, okay, maybe I don't have an angle or something like that, I can't see him. I go out there, and I run out, and there's just no one out there. I look down to the right, which is just the whole parking lot. It's just an open parking lot. I don't see anybody walking around. I see cars and whatnot, but I don't see any people. And I look on the left side of the building, and there's just nobody there. And it's just like, I don't know where this guy came from. I don't know who he was, but it may just be perfect circumstance and all that. But that was so unexplained to me. Like, I was just like, what, where did he go? Where, I could see him on the camera, but I can't see him there. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
So just to clarify, so you looked at the camera, you could see him peeking in on the camera.
Yep.
But the moment, and you didn't stop to do or look at anything else, you looked directly from the camera to look up at the front of the store to see him there looking in the window at the front of the store. Nobody there. You looked back to the camera again, and you still see him doing this.
I still see him out there. Like, he was kind of like back, like looking through the glass. Like, he was moving. But I was just like, my first thought was, it's maybe just a still or something like that. But no, like, we didn't have anything pulled up on the camera. Like, there were people moving, and I was just like, or he was moving. It was just like, so weird, so unexplained. And it's such a stupid small thing. But to me, like, that night, I was just like, that was creepy. Even the guy working with me was like, that's weird. Like, I don't know. That's a strange one, so.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Ghost like Borderlands.
Maybe. I mean, that'd be a good choice.
So, yeah, maybe that's all it is.
Yeah.
Those from the afterlife wanted a chance to play the hit Gearbox game.
I mean, maybe. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not...
They like looting and shooting.
And on a side note, like, I'm not a big, like, ghost person. Like, I've never had to deal with, anything like that. I know some people swear up and down by them. Some people are just straight up cynical, like, deniers and stuff like that. Like, I can't prove one way or another there are or they're not. I'm not going to be the guy that's like, ghosts exists or ghosts don't. Like, I don't know. I'm not qualified to make that decision. But it's just one of those things of, there's been a lot of unexplained things, and to me, that's one of them. And it could be very simple. Maybe he went left when I went right, and it was just perfect circumstance. But it was just like, that night, I was very caught off guard, and I even told my wife, I was just like, this is weird, and she was like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. So
yeah, just interesting, man. Especially, that must have really messed with your mind, for something that you saw for certain there on camera to not be there in person, though.
Yeah.
And I mean, you hear stories about people like that, and kind of segueing into my story here in a second too, because it's very similar as well. But you hear stuff about that, about how people believe that cameras pick up ghosts and everything like that, because it's something that the naked eye can't pick up on. So
yeah, and like I was telling you earlier, because I don't want to be that guy that's like super cynical. Like, there are definitely things that we just don't know. But I know I have a buddy who I was telling you earlier who's like, they've actually had to sit down with Ed and Lorraine Warren. Mm-hmm. Because of things that were happening to them, and it's like, I can't say they're liars or anything. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's a shitty thing to do. But it's also just like, I can't imagine going through something like that, because I've never experienced anything even remotely close to it.
Yeah, you haven't experienced something like that, but it would be disingenuous of you to assume
nobody else has.
Yeah, exactly. So I see what you're saying. So makes sense.
But it was weird. Anyway, like I said, I don't have any crazy horror stories or anything. I just thought that was one that was kind of funny and just like random off the wall. So I figured I'd share that one. But
there you go.
Let's roll into your first one, man. What do you got? Terrify me.
Oh, all right then, man. So as most of you know who watch this, I am a married man. As you can see right here, here's the proof on my finger. So sorry if you were wanting a piece of this action, but I'm sadly taken. But fun fact that I was married before this. So the scariest thing that's ever happened to me in my life is my ex-wife. But yeah, she's absolutely terrifying. So, but no, in all seriousness though, because you shared a GameStop scary experience, I will share a GameStop scary experience, especially because I used to be a GameStop employee once upon a time, so...
Eons and eons ago.
So long ago. So, anyway, I used to work at a location that was in a not safe side of town. Andy is familiar with this location as well. And so it was the kind of area where the people that came in, especially at nighttime, were of the questionable variety. You're not entirely sure what they're there for, if they have good intentions or if they had bad intentions, because, I mean, this was a store that had been robbed a couple of times. So it was definitely a shady side of town. And at the store that I worked in was very small. It was a very, very small store. And I was in the back room one night doing a closing shift, and I was the assistant manager at the time. And I was closing with a young lady who was up behind the register while I was taking my lunch in the break room, or in the back room, whatever you want to call it. So while I'm taking my lunch, hey, no, there's no ghost. Stop barking, there's no ghost. No, it's the Amazon man. Leave the Amazon man alone. So anyway, as as I'm eating my lunch, it's the Amazon person. No, it's Amazon.
Maybe they're bringing ghosts.
No, it's Amazon. Eat your bone. Eat your bone. No. See, look, they're gone. You scared them away. They didn't even drop off a package. They were just turning around.
They didn't get out of the car?
No, they didn't even get out of the car. They were just turning around. Do you feel better about yourself now? You scared them away. Okay, thank you. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear her. She's like,
yeah, I can hear her.
Okay, are you good? Can I continue now? Okay, thank you. Anyway, so I'm sitting in the back room and I'm eating my lunch, and I'm keeping an eye on the camera because, like I said, young lady is working up front and everything in a shady side of town, and we've already had questionable people come into the store previously. So I kind of I'm keeping an eye on her while I'm sitting back there, and I see somebody walk into the store on camera, and it's from one of the cameras that's pointed directly at the door. So I'm watching, and they come in and they take a right and they're going towards the back of the store, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on them. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to get up and I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to kind of stand behind the counter with her, just to make sure everything is good, okay?
Yeah.
So I get up and I go out there. I'm standing behind the counter with her, and she's like, hey, what you doing? And I'm just like, oh, I'm just standing up here with you, while the customers in here shopping and everything. And she looks at me and she goes, there's nobody in the store. And I was like, what do you mean there's nobody in the store? I just watched somebody walk in the door on camera, like clear as day somebody came in. She's like, no, there's nobody in the store. So we go to the back of the store together, and there's nobody there. Nobody ever came in the store, but clear as day I saw somebody come in. And then after this had happened, there was one morning where I was doing an opening shift, and it was during a weekday, so not that busy because people are at work and kids are in school and everything. And I'm in the back room. We're already open for the day. The door's unlocked, and I'm grabbing something from the back, and I hear somebody go, hello, or like, hey, just trying to get my attention. And so I was like, oh, I didn't hear the door chime or anything. I guess somebody came in, though, and they need me to, check them out, or they need help finding something. So I grab what I'm grabbing, and I go up, and I set it on the counter, and I walk out onto the floor to go help them. Nobody there. At all. Not a single soul is in that store other than myself.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's very awkward when you hear a voice, and you don't see anything associated with it. That's creepy.
That's what really creeps me out too. But I also I'm sure you've heard of stuff like mimics and everything, stuff that will mimic you or people and stuff like that. And I've never had an instance where that's happened to me or anything, but that is something as an idea for me personally is absolutely terrifying. That you have something that is trying to mimic yourself or somebody to get to you. That's creepy. That's really creepy. But
no, I mean, agreed. Like the thought of it, yeah, that's 100%.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I still to this day don't know. I haven't been to that store in years. Personally, I would not complain if I never went back to it ever again.
So I ran that store for a little bit too, and yeah, I've got some scary stories there, but they're not horror stories. They're
people.
They're scary stories for sure. They're weird. So, but yeah, that's an interesting one for sure.
Hey, What? What? Get your bone. Hey, hey, hey! I'm talking to you. Thank you. Goodness. What's wrong?
I don't know if you want to let
What?
her out or we'll have to edit all this
No.
stuff out, but
Yeah, she's fine right now. Because if I let her out, she's just going to bark even more, I bet. So,
alright, fair.
hey, what are you cocking your head at? Huh? Homie. Homie. Are you seriously barking at them? They're watching a movie.
Is it a scary movie?
They're watching Blue's Clues. We should at least, you know what? We should leave that part in. Actually,
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. We can also leave the Amazon guy part in.
Yeah.
That was good
I mean,
too.
we could edit whatever, but I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, yeah. See, look, she's just
She's on
just
full alert.
existing. Yeah, I know. So anyway, all right. So moving on. What's your next scary story that you have for us, Andy?
So I don't have, like I said, man, I don't have a ton of scary stories. I have a funny story.
Well, let me just say, fear is subjective. So what may be scary to you may not be scary to somebody else. So
I mean, fair. So
yeah.
I'll say this: I have a little funny story I can tell, and when it happened to me, it was friggin' scary. I was scared for sure, but I don't think this is a scary story. But when I was a kid, I grew up in the Northeast, so I grew up in like Massachusetts, New Hampshire, stuff like that. And my family was very pro all the holidays. Like it wasn't a thing of like we just celebrated. We celebrated the holidays. So all of them were always above and beyond. And Halloween has always been a big one for us. Like we always would, we dress up, we do candy, we decorate the house, we go above and beyond. We always did everything we could for Halloween. And when we lived in this one area in New Hampshire, I don't want to say it was like a mountain, but it was like we were at the bottom of the drive and the road just went up and it kind of went up the side of a cliff and it did all these like S curves and stuff, and there were houses all along the way going up this like mountain essentially. And for Halloween, what we would do is we would always just walk up the road. We'd stop at all these houses, get candy, and go that route. But at the very end of the road, there was this cul-de-sac. And they kind of coordinated this giant Halloween thing this year where all the houses just did this one giant Halloween event. And we were stopping at the houses, getting all the candy, doing the trick-or-treating. Like you should. None of this trunk-or-treat stuff. Like you should be going proper trick-or-treating.
Agreed.
But I remember when we walked up the cul-de-sac, I remember seeing this one house. It was kind of like off to the left a little bit, but it was just this giant white house, and it had this huge crucifix in the yard with a scarecrow on it. And I just remember seeing that, and just something about it caught my attention, but nothing ever happened. Like it was just there, like the entire time. And we hit multiple houses. We walked around, we looked at things, like all that. But when we got to this house, I remember, and I was a kid, like I remember, having my little thing for candy, ready to go get candy. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I was a TMNT turtle back then. And I remember walking up to the house, and I remember seeing the friggin' scarecrow on the crucifix, and just obviously I'm a kid. I was like 5, 6 years old, maybe. I was super young. And I'm walking up, and all of a sudden, this fucking scarecrow jumps off the crucifix, yelling. And mind you, he's still a ways away from me. Like, it's not like I'm near the crucifix. He's a little ways off. But he jumps off and just full sprint right towards me. Yeah. And I scream, I drop my candy, and I just go. Dude, my mom tells this story, like, periodically. Like, she loves to tell all these old stories. But the way she describes me was just a green blur of like light just flying by, and I was running. I was just going straight home. There was nothing gonna stop me. I was just and like I said, I dropped my candy bowl and all that, and like I was gone. And my mom is chasing me. She grabs the candy and she's chasing after me, screaming my name, trying to catch up to me. And she's laughing her head off while running, so she's probably having a hard time breathing. But yeah, like that terrified me to no end. It was just like that's something I do remember. And as someone who loves Halloween and like doing that stuff myself now, like I like scaring, and like I can see both sides of the both sides of the fight there, or the argument there. But
and like that's the thing is, like, growing up for me and everything, I had family members, that scared me a lot and everything. And, as a kid and everything, you don't like that kind of stuff. But as an adult, though, it's, I like scaring people.
I mean, again, like, as an adult, you know what it is. Like, you've seen behind, like, the smoke and mirrors and all that.
Yeah. But, like, I like
kid,
the...
you don't know all that stuff. Like, it's definitely more real, so...
Well, I like all the compilations that you see of, like, people scaring other people and recording it and stuff like that. Like, whenever America's Funniest Home Videos, I don't even know if that's still a show or not, but America's Funniest Home Videos, those were some of my favorite segments, is, people scaring other people, so,
yep.
Yeah.
Good times.
But,
and throwback to an old TV show.
I know. Which host did you grow up with more often? Bob Saget, okay. Yeah. Well, so, because, I mean, there's an age gap between us and everything, so I had Bob Saget, and I also had Tom Bergeron. So, because because it was Bob Saget, and then it was in that transition phase to Tom Bergeron, so I had both of them, so.
Okay, no, I Bob Saget, like, that's the one I grew up with. Like, I again, watched the older ones, so.
Yeah. So, man, now I just want to find some old America's Funniest Home Videos clips. But anyway.
Maybe we could make that an episode. Some of our favorite video clips.
Oh, I'm down for that. I got some good ones.
Yeah, we could do like a throwback to that. That'd be funny.
That would be funny.
Anyway. So like I said, I don't have anything crazy scary. Nothing like I said, I've been fortunate enough to not have to deal with too much like that. But I do think that's a funny story to tell for sure, so...
I enjoy that one, and it fits the theme, and it's also, like I said, it was scary to you.
Oh, it died.
Yep. That's all that matters. This topic is personal scary stories. So
no, I was definitely scary. So
as I said, fear is subjective. So
fair. Well, all right, man. Let's. I know you've got this is technically your topic, so you were kind of the one that came up with this idea. This is something you've been excited for, but I know you've got kind of a big story to go into, so I'm gonna let you roll into it, man.
This is my big boy story. I've told a lot of people this story. So from 5th grade up until my going into my senior year of high school, I lived in this big 2-story house, and this house was out in the middle of nowhere. We did not have a lot of neighbors around us or anything like that. It takes us a good 30 minutes just to even get to the grocery store, okay? Out in the middle of nowhere. So in this house, my bedroom was upstairs, and I know that's not very important right now to the story, but it will be eventually. So, majority of the bedrooms were actually upstairs. There was one bedroom that was downstairs, but my parents had used it as an office area, and that's what they were using it for at the time of this story. So, what happened though is leading up to, and like there was small things that led up to it. I would be like laying in bed at night, and I would just be sitting in bed either playing on my DS or reading a book, something, trying to catch up on homework, just staying up, okay?
Yeah.
And I would have my bedroom door shut, and I would hear footsteps coming down the hallway, and they would stop outside my bedroom door. And the first couple times I didn't really think anything of it because my sister's bedroom was down the hall and the bathroom that we shared was across from my bedroom. So I just chalked it up to her going to the restroom, but it just became so frequent and they would stop outside of my door and I would never hear footsteps going back. So there was one night where I heard it, and I decided I'm going to open the door, and if I see the bathroom door closed and the lights on, then my sister's in the bathroom. Problem solved. I figured out what's going on. So I get up and I go and I open the door, and there's nothing there. The bathroom is wide open. It's dark in there. There's all the lights are off, so it's just dark. My sister's door is closed down the hallway. Absolutely nothing. So and it just continues to lead up into things like there in that hallway also I would hear scratching on the walls too. And there was in the mornings I would ride the bus to school and I just remember there was one morning where I came downstairs. My family's already gone. My stepdad went to work super early, and my mom had to go to work super early because she was a teacher at the time and she was teaching almost an hour away at another school. And so she would drop off my sister at her friend's house in the morning and she would ride to school with her friend and I would just ride the bus to school. So I wake up, everybody's already gone, and so I go downstairs, and at this time Adult Swim is usually still airing, so I would just catch the tail end of some Adult Swim shows and everything.
Yeah.
So I went downstairs, and I come up to the kitchen and living room. So where you would walk in, the living room would be on your left, and the kitchen would be on the right of where you're standing, and directly ahead of you was kind of the dining room area and the back door that would go into the backyard, obviously. But if you were to walk into the kitchen and keep going, there was like a whole second living room, and it would actually circle back around to where the stairs were in the front entrance, and if you kept walking, it would come up to the hallway that led back to the living room and the kitchen.
Okay.
So it circled around, okay? And so I walk up, and I always did the same thing every single morning because I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah.
So once I get a routine going, I tend to stick to it. So I did the same thing that I always did. So I would walk up and I would turn to the kitchen, flick the light on, and then I would turn to the living room, flick the living room light on because both of the switches for them were right there. Okay.
Okay.
And so I did that, flipped on the kitchen light, flipped on the living room light. Whenever I turned back to go into the kitchen, because I would usually go and like make breakfast and everything and then go sit in the living room and eat and catch the tail end of Adult Swim, turned back to go into the kitchen light was off and the fridge door was in the process of closing, like it had been open.
All right.
So at that point, I was just like, I don't need to make my lunch for the day and I don't need breakfast. I turned out the lights and I turned around and I went out the garage and I waited outside for the bus. So
all right.
It was just a bunch of little stuff like that. And but it culminated in one big thing that happened though. And so there was I didn't ride the bus home from school every single day, just on specific days, but one of those days was a Thursday. And I would get home, and I would be the first one home. And I just remember on Thursdays, Doctor Who would come on, and I was getting into Doctor Who at the time. So I would get home, and I would get a snack. Usually it would be like a bowl of Chex Mix or something, and I would just put on whatever Doctor Who episode they were airing at the time.
All right.
So we had 4 dogs. 2 of them were outside, and then we had 2 small ones that were indoor-outdoor, but whenever we were gone, they were all outside together. So I let the 2 little ones in, and I got my bowl of Chex Mix, and I went and sat on the couch in the living room. So I'm sitting there, and I'm eating my bowl of Chex Mix, and I'm watching Doctor Who, and the 2 small dogs are sitting in front of me, begging for my food, like they always do.
Of course.
Not anything different. And so they're just sitting there, and I'm watching the show. And one of them, she would always get upset if you didn't pay attention to her, or she wanted your attention. She would do like a broof, broof, like to get your attention.
Yeah.
Not really a bark, just kind of like a broof, like I don't know how to describe it. It was weird. She was a weird dog. Uh, Extremely inbred, but anyway, but anyway, so she's sitting there doing that, and so I'm like, stop, like leave me alone. The other dog, though, she's not one that really, she wouldn't bark unless there was something going on. Like, she wouldn't bark at you. She would only bark and get upset if she felt like there was something going on, or if like somebody new came over, stuff that a dog would sense on and not like because it's something new to them. Okay.
Yeah.
So she starts barking, and so now I'm just fed up at this point. So I grab the remote and I pause the TV and I look at them both, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? Okay. And all of a sudden, from upstairs, I just hear the loudest thud, like something being dropped on the floor, okay? Like just a loud boof.
Yeah.
The dogs just stopped barking, and I couldn't see myself, but I bet I went pale, okay? And I'm just sitting there frozen in shock. And all of a sudden, I hear footsteps upstairs. And then I start hearing them slowly come down the stairs, just doom, doom, doom. And they get about halfway down the stairs. And I'm still haven't moved. I'm just absolutely in shock. And I'm trying to process what's going on. And, my first thought is somebody has broken into this house.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there. I've already put my Chex Mix on the table next to the couch and everything. The dogs still haven't moved. They're not even barking still. And so we're just sitting there. And like I said, the footsteps were about halfway down the stairs. And then all of a sudden they stopped. And then after a split second, they just like they were running down the rest of the stairs. And so I got up. The dogs were right behind me, and I booked it from the living room across to where the dining room was I was telling you about, to where the back door was, and I booked it over there, man. And I ran out the back door, and the dogs came out with me, and I shut it behind me, and I pressed myself up against the side of the house, and I was like, okay, there's very clearly something going on. Somebody is in this house. I was like, I need to figure out what is going on. So I decided I was going to peek around where I was pressed up against the house, peek around it to where the porch was, to look in through the kitchen window to see if I could see anything.
Yeah.
So I peek around the corner, I look in the window, and there is a man standing in the kitchen. He's bald. He doesn't have any facial hair either. He's just, no facial hair, completely bald. He's wearing one of those blue denim work shirts. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, blue denim work shirt. And he's looking directly at me, and his eyes are just yellow. And he is just looking at me, and the only way I can describe it is with hate-filled eyes. Like if somebody was upset with you, or just really, really angry at you, it was that kind of look in his eyes, just beaming me down with it, okay?
Okay.
So I was just like, nope. And so I went around the backyard and I went to the gate. I went out the gate, and we had a really, really long driveway. So I walked up to the top of the driveway, because if you get up to the top of the driveway, lay down. If you get up to the top of the driveway, you can see majority of the entries and the exits of the house. The only things that you can't see are anything that leads into a fenced-in backyard, which we had a privacy fence. So we could, so you would see somebody climbing the fence, and even if you couldn't see them, in a specific corner, them going over the fence, you would eventually see them break on the horizon from them running. So being at the top of the driveway, you have a pretty good vantage point of everything. Even if you did not see them walk out of the house, you would see them break in your line of sight on the horizon somewhere, okay?
All right.
So at this point, my mom pulls up, and she's like, what are you doing outside? What's going on? And I told her what happened. She was like, okay, well, your dad's almost home and everything, so we're going to wait till he gets home, and then we'll all go in, okay? So he gets home, and she tells him what's going on and stuff. So he opens, the garage door, and he grabs a baseball bat, and he hands me one. And whenever he opened the garage door, and I did not leave this door open. This door was closed when I was in the house, but there's the big garage door, the roll-up door,
Yeah.
where you can pull your vehicle in. But then a lot of houses have a door that leads from the garage inside to your house, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this one had one as well. So that door was wide open. So I have a baseball bat. My dad has a baseball bat. We checked the garage, and him and I went and scoped out the entirety of the house, okay? There was not a single soul in that house. We checked the attic. We had two attics because we had a walk-in attic and we also had, a traditional attic.
Yeah.
So we checked both attics. We checked every room. We checked everywhere. There was not a soul to be found in that house. And as I continued to stay in that bedroom, I still had instances where I felt like I was being watched. I would hear footsteps stop outside my door after walking down the hallway. Especially walking upstairs was always unsettling to me. I always hated walking upstairs because I felt like something was always at the top of the stairs watching me. And after that instance, all those things still continued. And then it just got to the point where I don't remember even why it happened, but my parents had the office downstairs I was telling you about, and it was a smaller bedroom, but I wanted to move my bedroom downstairs into that room. And they were fine with it, so they took all the office stuff out, and I moved into that bedroom. And my sister, hair just flew into my mouth. My sister wanted to move into my old bedroom because it was slightly larger than the one that she had been in.
Okay.
And so she moves into it and everything. And I didn't tell my family a lot about the little stuff. Of course, I told them all about seeing the guy in the house.
Yeah.
But, so after I moved bedrooms and I went downstairs, everything just completely stopped. I never had another instance in that house ever again once I moved bedrooms. And then there was one day, though, my sister came up to me and she asked me, because remember, she moved into my old bedroom.
Yeah.
She goes, "Hey, did you ever hear footsteps come down the hallway and stop outside your bedroom door?"
So she got to experience some of it then.
She did.
Did she ever see anything crazy like you did, or deal with anything
No.
that you had to?
Because by the time I moved into that downstairs bedroom and everything, we didn't even live in that house for a year after that and everything, because we moved probably about 7-8 months after I had moved bedrooms.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
crazy. I feel like you've told that story on the podcast before.
not on the podcast. I've told you personally.
I know you've told
but-
me, but I thought we've gone over that on the podcast. But I mean, it's still, in all fairness, like, I don't mean, this is going to sound disparaging a bit, and I don't mean it I don't mean it to in any way, but it is a good story. Like, it is a good story to tell.
It is a good story. I agree with you. And, like, don't get me wrong. Like, looking on it now, like, yeah, was it creepy at the time? Yes. But, like, also it's been years since it happened. So now it's just a good story to tell people. But, so I agree with you. But, yeah, at the time it was a harrowing event,
Yeah,
because
I would imagine.
especially because, I thought it was a home intruder.
Yeah.
So,
And
But
nothing,
no,
nothing came from the inspection or anything like that.
no, nothing ever came from it. So,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good story to end on. In all fairness, I think I definitely don't have anything to top that. So I think that's a good story to end on. I think we had a nice little campfire, little scary story session. Well, you did. I had a couple goofy stories, but
Hey, I liked your story. Your first one still creeps me out, though. Like the thought of seeing something on one thing but not being able to see it with your own eyes is that bothers me. Like
it messed with me. Like that for me, because like when my wife and I were dating the whole time, we would always talk because, like I said, so her and her friends were walking through a cemetery one night. And she was obsessed with the little voice recorder things, and she would go around and ask questions and listen back and kind of do, like, try and catch an EVP. And, I mean, you watch shows like Ghost Adventurers and stuff, and they catch them, like, a dime a dozen. Like, they get so many of them. But
Yeah.
theoretically, those things are supposed to be extremely difficult to get. I mean, again, I don't know the science behind it. I don't know the truth or validity in any of it. But there's one story where she was walking through the cemetery with her friends, and she was just messing around with the recorder, and she asked a question, and she got a response of somebody saying, "Shut up." But nobody said anything. Like, there's no, like, none of the other, like, you can hear a difference between that voice and the other voices on the recorder. But, like, I wasn't there, so I don't know the details on it, but it's just, like, crazy things like that are unexplained. And to me, my story with seeing the guy in the window is unexplained. I feel like the logic part of my brain is just telling me just circumstance. But that messed with me for a bit, that I even went home and I was like, I told my wife the story and she was like, "You don't believe in that stuff though. Like, you're not big into like ghosts and all that." Like, and I'm not really, but I was like, that freaked me out. So,
Man, you can tell yourself circumstance, but also what's the fun in that?
I mean, fair. I mean, I get that. So,
Yeah. So there's a fun to the unknown and the unexplored and everything like that. That definitely I'm attracted to anyway. But I listen to a lot of stuff like that. So
I mean, I do too. Like, I like the horror podcasts. Like, my wife got me into No Sleep and all that stuff. Like, I enjoy a lot of that. But just for me, they're stories. They are stories. It's either circumstance. There's always an explanation, I guess is probably the best way to put it. And that's how my brain sees it, and I have a hard time thinking otherwise. So even my own experience, where it's like, this is what I saw, this is what happened to me, my own brain's like, don't be dumb. There's got to be a reason. So
then how do you explain the unexplained then, sir?
that's I don't know. We don't have all the answers.
I know.
But I do know, if we go to Zach Bagan's Barbecue and Ghost Emporium or whatever it is,
Yeah.
we'd probably get all the answers, so we need to do that.
I know. We need an episode where we go to Vegas and we go to Zach's Haunted Hideaway and barbecue.
There it is. We need to do that. We need to do that. We need to set something up. Maybe beginning of next year, once things kind of slow down and calm down for us. Well, actually, no, that doesn't work for me. But maybe spring or summer next year, we can plan something. Like, take a weekend, go out there, just have some fun, go hit that and do a podcast episode there. Who knows?
Potentially. We'll see.
That'd be fun. But all right, take it away, man. Let us go.
Yeah. Well,
let's put out the campfire and get ready for a new one.
Yeah, let's kick some dirt on the fire and get out of here. All right. So, as always, there we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you all so much for watching. We've actually got a nice handful of new subscribers here recently. So, hey, we probably should have said this at the top of the episode, but whatever. Welcome. And so we're glad that you're here with us, and we hope you enjoyed our Campfire Stories episode that we did, and also all of our regular viewers as well. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and if you have any creepy stories, leave them in the comments below. I definitely encourage it, because I love creepy stories and I love people's personal stories about things they can't explain. I eat it up, so drop it in the comments below if you have any, because I would love to read it, and I know Andy would too. So, but as always, thank you all so much for watching. Remember to stay uncultured, and we will see you all next time.